kick it.
Welcome to Brash Sports, episode 67, brought to you this week by Confederate Candles. Confederate candles are just as expensive as Yankee candles, but they don't last as long, don't smell as good, and they're pro-slavery. Fill your humble abode with the stench of Southern pride with Confederate candles. Try some of the newly added scents to the Confederate Candle collection, like Meemaw's Homemade Peach Tea or Jim Crow's Racist Asshole. Confederate Candles, because you're too stupid to know the difference. Today on Brash Sports, our new segment, Devil's Advocate, makes its long-awaited debut. We'll discuss tonight's marquee collegiate matchup between Georgia and Alabama. We'll make our NFL picks for Week 4 official, and I'll share my very own can't-miss Brash Parlay. You won't want to miss it. But we do have to kick things off with a little breaking news. Breaking news alert. Josh, he is currently on hiatus due to an ongoing contract dispute. I think I can speak for all of Brash Nation when I say I'm hoping both sides can come to an agreement very soon and Josh returns to the Brash studio where he belongs. But in the meantime, we are not skipping a beat. We got Daniel joining as our co-host this week. So welcome to the show, Daniel. It's good to have you, buddy. Thanks for stepping up to the plate.
Hey, thanks. Sorry to hear about that. Hope for all the best for Josh there.
You know, it's a business, and sometimes we're just having so much fun, we forget about that side of things. But hey, hopefully they can come to terms and get those hands a-shaking, and we can move right along. But until then, we're just going to be, flying by the seat of our pants. Is that a saying? Or
yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah.
So as for our new segment that's making its long-awaited debut today in Devil's Advocate, basically this is something that we've actually been meaning to do here at Brash for quite some time. It's a fun little opportunity for one of us to play Devil's Advocate, one of us standing up on the soapbox and making some bold statements to which there should be a valid counter. So Daniel, because you are our guest co-host today, you will be playing our Devil's Advocate. And I'm going to throw some of these statements at you. Remind all the audience that there's been no homework here. Daniel he's just winging it. There was no preparation. I simply just threw a bunch of statements together, and I can't wait to see how he counters. So Daniel, are you ready to be Devil's Advocate today?
I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
All right, buddy. Well, let's go for it. Starting off with Bryce Young. Bryce Young, Daniel, will never be a starter in the NFL again. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, he hasn't had a great start, that's for sure. He has an incredible amount of talent, though. I don't know if I would dismiss him completely. And I think there are teams out in the NFL, a la Miami or whoever, that are desperate for a quarterback right now that would actually entertain the offer to have him on their team. So I'm not quite convinced that will be the end of Bryce Young, but maybe in Carolina, but not in the league.
And mind you, the whole point of this segment is for me to make over-the-top, bold statements that are a bit of a reach for the most part. So that's what keeps it interesting. So I like the counter there. Let's move right along to my next one, which is the 49ers will not make the playoffs this year, Daniel. What do you think of that?
Oof. Well, they're a little banged up right now. But, I think they've got enough offensive weapons, enough offensive talent, even without Christian McCaffrey, which the longer we go with Christian McCaffrey being out, the longer it looks like he might be out for a while. I still think there's enough talent on the team. The offensive line is pretty good. Defensive line's holding up pretty well. Defense has got to step it up a little bit, but no, I think the 49ers have too much talent.
All right, fair enough. Well, how about this one? Travis Kelce's days as an elite tight end are over.
He's getting double teamed a lot now, that's for sure. His stats through the first, how many games have they played? 4 games, whatever it is.
3 games so far.
3 games, yeah. 3 games. It's the lowest of his career. But I don't know. It's the talent level. He is so talented. He can be an X factor for the Chiefs at times. I think he's going to figure this thing out and rebound. You'll see in the next few weeks. He'll start getting the numbers we're used to seeing.
Just a side note there. One of the things that I feel like's been hurting him is not having one of those go-to wide receivers on their team. I mean, who's their top receiver? I can't even I can't even name one. Because
it's
Travis Kelce. He's their top receiver, but in terms of the wide receiver position,
right? Yeah.
There isn't a decoy out there to help him with those double teams.
They've had several injuries at that position that have really affected them, I think. So you still got Patrick Mahomes, one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league, clearly. So we'll see. Hopefully they can devise some plans. Maybe Taylor Swift can drop some plays for Travis Kelce and get him back on track.
Yeah, well, I do think they have a pretty soft matchup coming up tomorrow. So I think they're going to make a point to get him the ball, especially after watching this episode of Brash Sports.
Oh, absolutely.
How about this one? The Jaguars won't win more than 2 games this season. Daniel, prove me wrong. You like that?
Yeah, that one's a good one. Because I almost agree with that. Maybe they'll win 3 or 4.
Come on, devil's advocate.
I know this isn't much of a devil's advocate, is it? But
that's a good one. I know that's a solid one. I actually was really high on them, and I had them going to 11 wins this year. I thought Trevor Lawrence was going to tear it up, but he is.
Their offensive line has not helped them. He's been running around a lot in the backfield, and I don't know. He seems the talent that he had when he was at Clemson. First couple seasons he was pretty good. But I don't know. It's amazing that these NFL teams that draft these highly talented quarterbacks think that they'll just miraculously change their team without changing their offensive line. The Bears are seeing that in that situation with Caleb Williams. Just because they're an elite, Heisman-winning quarterback doesn't mean it's going to change your offensive line. You have to get the guys up front to protect the quarterback, and I think that's part of the issue in Jacksonville is Trevor Lawrence does not have enough time to find the open receiver. He has to rush his throws, and that causes turnovers, and that's kind of what he's experiencing right now. And I'm kind of surprised he hasn't really vented all that much. He's usually one of those players that'll do that if he gets really upset. So,
that means he's smart. Problems in the locker room never solved anything. But will they get the 3 wins? Is the question.
Will they get the 3 wins? I think they can. But I think maybe even 4 wins. But I don't see a lot of wins coming out of Jacksonville based on their schedule. Their schedule's not very kind to them. If they play, I was going to say they already played Miami, so so that win is already gone.
Yeah, they're in trouble. I think they're getting Houston tomorrow, right? So things are going to get tougher for those Jags.
Tough Houston team, yeah.
How about this one? You'll like this. Jaden Daniels will run away with the Offensive Rookie of the Year award.
Gosh, that's not far off, man. With the performance he had against Cincinnati, if he continues to develop, and the thing with him is he just needs to make sure that he doesn't become RG3 and run everywhere and get over 100 yards a game or whatever. Yep. If he can kind of reduce that and just try to be a pocket passer as much as he can, he'll get better as a passer. But as far as who could be another Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate, I'm trying to think of one right now, and no one jumps off the page at this point.
Well, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Except Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, I was going to say he's the only one I can think of that would probably contest for that, and so far he isn't doing too bad. So I think he needs to get a little bit more involved, and I think he will as the season goes on. So yeah, if you had to tell me Jaden Daniels was a runaway favorite, I think there's still some competition, like with Marvin Harrison Jr. that can really it could be, depending on how the Commanders finish their season. People say that doesn't matter in these votes. It absolutely does. I think it's going to be a close vote. But I think I give the edge to Marvin Harrison Jr. at this point.
And real quick, just with those comparisons between Jaden Daniels and Robert, all Redskins fans have been doing that because it's 12 years removed from that, glorious season of 2012. And, I remember it like it was yesterday. And of course, it hit a brick wall when Haloti Ngata ended RG3's career for the most part with that hit. And the difference, though, between RG3 and Jaden that's striking is the scheming. Cliff Kingsbury is not like the Shanahans. He's not scheming for Jaden to run 90% of the time, like the Shannies were with Robert. So it's it's a smarter approach, and Jaden's just simply a better pocket passer. So as time goes on, he'll be staying put behind his linemen. The Steelers will win the AFC North, Daniel. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I think they're going to have a quarterback controversy in the next few weeks. Once Russell Wilson gets healthy, Justin Fields has been okay. He hasn't been, to me, he has not convinced basically the entire NFL world that he's the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh's doing the right thing by Russell Wilson by keeping him off the field until he is 100%. They're not throwing him out there, which I think is probably a good sign. And to me, they've been better. I think they've been better lucky than good at this point. Their defense is good. Their offense is hit or miss. Sometimes it runs and sometimes it doesn't. And that first week against the Falcons was just absolutely crazy that they won that with a bunch of field goals. But I still think Baltimore is probably your team to beat in that division. The Bengals are circling the drain at this point. They have a must-win this week. And the Browns are kind of just a mediocrity. They're not. They're not.
I think they're bad. I'm just going to say that the Browns are bad. But they win. They won last week, so it's interesting that they're just kind of sitting there. But I think the Bengals and the Browns are kind of your bottom two in that division, and it's going to be a battle between Pittsburgh and Baltimore, which is typical. So, but I give the edge to Baltimore just with their schedule, how it lines up. They're going to get to playing the NFC East here pretty soon. So I think they have a good shot. The Browns did lose last week to the Giants.
Oh, they did. My mistake.
I was high on the Steelers coming into this season. Didn't quite expect their defense to be as dominant as it is shown to be in the early goings of this year. And I did have the Bengals winning that AFC North, and
they've been a disappointment.
That's looking like it's just simply not going to happen. In an 0-3 hole in the division with the Steelers and the Ravens, it's going to be really, really tough. They're going to need a lot of luck to go their way to crawl out of that. How about this one? The Eagles will win the NFC.
Ooh.
Headed back to the Super Bowl.
I don't know. The NFC is fairly wide open at this point. I think the Cowboys are worse than we expected. That run defense is not very good. They did do fairly well against the Giants, but that's the Giants. But San Francisco's still a contender up there, even with the injuries that they have. The Rams have got to get going, but the Rams.
That's my Super Bowl pick.
Yeah, they're dealing with some injuries though with Cooper Kupp and a couple of these other guys right now, and they're kind of a banged up team. But if they can get healthy, I think they could be a contender as well. We'll see what the Commanders do. I'm still kind of like, I'm still hesitant to call them any type of playoff contender at this point, but their defense, their rushing defense especially, has to get better on that front for them to contend. But I do think Jaden Daniels keeps them in games quite a bit. I mean, but their schedule is brutal. It is a rough schedule. But yeah, I would say the 49ers, the Rams are probably the two teams, and the Seahawks have been surprising. They're not a bad football team. They're
people are sleeping in Seattle,
and their defense has been better than advertised. So it's like all the West teams are contenders that I'm naming here, but as far as the Eagles winning the NFC, I'm not seeing it at this point. Doesn't mean they won't get better, but
Yeah, Rams my Super Bowl pick, and that has not been looking good so far. Again, very early in the year. They did pick up that comeback victory against the 49ers last week. And it's just they have the same problem as the Redskins in terms of their defense is non-existent. They allow over 400 yards per game on average. Right. So that's not going to get you to the Super Bowl. Yeah,
this isn't the Ravens of the early 2000s where you could score like 50 points and let up 35.
Yep. How about this? The Bills will win the Super Bowl this year. How do you like that?
They've been a good team too out of the gate, so far. I think Kansas City's their kryptonite, though. I think there's Kansas City that can beat them in the AFC. They've got a couple teams that can probably go toe-to-toe with them in the playoffs. Josh Allen's playing well. Offense is playing well. Defense is doing okay. I think they could step up just a little bit. But to me, I think right now Kansas City is the team to beat in the AFC. They get some of the calls, but I mean they're a well-oiled machine. They're playing. I mean, doesn't matter how injured their receiving core is, they seem to find a way to win, and it's crazy. But right now, I mean, the schedule's pretty favorable for Kansas City down the stretch. So I think the team that can probably, that would be the team that would contend would be the Kansas City Chiefs over the Buffalo Bills at this point.
Yeah, I mean, all roads to the Super Bowl in the AFC do go through Arrowhead, and we've seen that numerous times before, whether it be the Bills or the Bengals. Not being able to scale that mountain, so to speak. So they'll certainly have to do that. They will have to stay healthy. I mean, obviously, just like any team, your starting quarterback drops for a few games. That's going to hurt you. And Josh Allen is carrying that JanSport and that team on his back. So if he can keep doing what he's doing, looking like an MVP candidate, then I do think that they'll be tough for the Chiefs in the playoffs, because we are going to see that game. It's going to happen. Now here we go, Daniel. This was meant specifically for you for tonight, for the marquee matchup that was earlier mentioned. Alabama will beat Georgia in Tuscaloosa tonight. What do you say to that? Take the mic.
It's going to be a hell of a game, man. So, SEC football at its finest. You got, you're at Tuscaloosa under the lights, over 100,000 fans screaming for Alabama, and they're going to have some Georgia fans sprinkled in there. But I mean, I think so far Alabama has not really had the challenge that can really convince me until I see tonight that they are better than Georgia at this point. Now, Georgia is lucky to be undefeated still right now. They barely escaped Lexington, Kentucky, 13-12 over the Kentucky Wildcats, and people are all overreacting, going, "Oh my God, Kentucky, why?" Kentucky has the 6th-ranked defense in college football right now. And the stats are amazing for them. And plus the fact that you have Brock Vandegrift, who is their quarterback at Kentucky, and he sat behind Carson Beck. He sat behind several Georgia quarterbacks. They practiced against the defense every day. He picked up some of their schemes, picked up some of their plays, and really helped Kentucky do an incredible scouting report on Georgia. And also, the other thing I think is Kirby Smart does not want to tip his hand. He has plays that they have not run yet because he does not want Alabama to have the playbook. There's a certain package of plays that have not been run yet this year, and it's exclusively earmarked for this game. So I think they played it a little too close to the vest against Kentucky and nearly got bit for it. But the defense is still incredible. Not allowed a touchdown this year. Will they against Alabama? Most likely. Alabama's got a pretty explosive offense. I don't think you're going to keep them off the board. I would be very surprised if they do. But Milroe is going to have a challenge tonight for Alabama. This is going to be an elite defense, a quick defense, a fast secondary. They're going to be ready, and the defense is mad. They've had bulletin board material all week from the media, from Alabama players. I mean, you don't need to give that defense fuel. But I think Carson Beck needs to have the game of his life, because he struggled against Kentucky, and he's not being called an elite quarterback by Sports Illustrated now. So it's like there's some motivation if I ever saw it, because I believe Carson Beck is an elite quarterback, is the number 1 quarterback in the NFL draft next year. He has that talent. I was at the Georgia game against Tennessee Tech a few weeks ago. He's an incredible passer and can check plays and do all the things you need to be an elite quarterback. I expect this to be a good game, but I think Georgia just has too much talent on the secondary with the wide receivers. Trevor Etienne, the transfer from Florida, I think is going to just ball out and have a great game tonight. But we'll see. It's a lot of question marks right now and a lot of uncertainty. That's why the gamblers are kind of going toward even. Georgia had a 4.5-point favorite early in the week, and now it's 1. They only have to win the game by 1, and everybody wins.
Yeah.
But it's going to be one of the best games of the year. I mean, Georgia's got several of them earmarked as games of the year. They got to go to Texas, which this morning they said Ewers is probably going to be out for that game. So it's going to be Arch Manning versus Georgia, which that'll be
nice,
incredible. That'll be a good game. And then you got to go to Ole Miss, where Ole Miss doesn't care what the score is. Lane Kiffin loves to run up the score for Dart, so Dart has enough stats for his Heisman hope. But Ole Miss has an interesting game today against Kentucky, so that'll be interesting. But I think as far as Alabama winning, I think, again, Georgia just has too much talent. I think they're going to win the game. But I'm biased. I'm a Georgia fan, so there you go.
All right. Well, there you have it. Lifelong Bulldogs fan, Daniel, guaranteeing a Georgia victory tonight in Tuscaloosa against the Crimson Tide. Put your life savings on it. It's going to happen. It can't miss. All right, speaking of can't miss, we got to get into our NFL Pigskin Pick'em, so let's get right to it. All right, and here we are for our Pigskin Pick'ems. We already have one game in the books. the Thursday night matchup that was an NFC East showdown between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Football Giants. It was a close one, kind of a boring one. Dallas got the win. 87% of those picking on ESPN did go in Dallas's favor, as did I. I did pick the Cowboys, but as always, anytime I pick the Cowboys, I'm always hoping that they lose. I just felt like at this particular stage of the season, on a short week, they had the slight advantage there. I did think Giants had the advantage on the defensive side, but whatever. Their first matchup of the season's in the books, and Dallas gets the dub there. Let's move right along to the New Orleans Saints, headed to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Falcons coming off that disappointing loss against the Chiefs, where they made that boneheaded call on a 4th and 1 to run to the outside. I told you before, that looked like a Jim Zorn play call right there. I was not expecting that. That is, I would be livid if I were a fan of the Falcons watching that one. But Saints being brought down to earth a little bit after that first 2-week high that they had, putting points up like it was nobody's business. And they actually got their first loss of the season at the hands of the Philadelphia Eagles. So who do you got in this one, Daniel?
I'm going with the Falcons in this one. I think that they need to get the monkey off their back and really, and they've been in a couple of close games last few weeks. And, it'll be interesting to see. This is a good road test for New Orleans. I think, we'll see if that offense is still as potent as it has been. But I think Atlanta at home is tough, and I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a great game. So I'm going to pick the Falcons by the they're favored by 3 points. I think I'd take that. I think they're going to win by at least 3.
Okay. Wow. Well, I like it right off the bat. We disagree. I'm going with the New Orleans Saints in this one. I think that it was kind of a fluke last week to see their offense take a step back like they did. I am reading more into their firepower that they showed in the first 2 weeks.
Right.
And I don't have a lot of confidence in the Falcons defense. And after that final play call of the Falcons last game, I sure as shit don't have confidence in their offensive coordinator, whoever that guy is. So I'm going with the Saints to get the first win of this matchup this season. Let's go right to the LA Rams, headed to Chicago, take on the Bears. Both teams sitting at 1 and 2, and currently looks like the Bears are favored by 3 points in this one. Where do you stand on this one, Daniel?
I don't know how the Bears are favored in this game, but
I think it's point play. It should be even.
Yeah. I'm going to give the edge to the Rams at this point. It depends. Both teams are kind of have some injuries to deal with, but Chicago's offensive line is terrible, and I think Caleb Williams is going to be running for his life again. And, it's like I said, Caleb Williams is a great quarterback, but you can't just rely on him to bail you out. You have to have an offensive line protect him. So give me the Rams in this one.
All right, we agree on that one. I'm going with the Rams. I think even with the injuries, they'll be able to take advantage of Caleb Williams' mistakes because he looks truly like a rookie, a little bit different than how Jaden looks, but I think a lot of that experience that Jaden got in college is helping benefit him in his first season in the NFL. But I got the Rams winning. It's going to be tight, though. I do like I like how they gave the 3-point window, even though they're going in the direction of Chicago. I could see the Rams winning by about 3. So we're both going with the Rams there. Let's go to the Minnesota Vikings, headed to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Packers at 2 and 1. Malik Willis has been impressive and standing in for Jordan Love. And the Vikings, watch out. I was talking some smack about them and laughing that Sam Darnold was their quarterback, but they are undefeated. And they are currently not favored. They're underdogs. They must be taking that as an insult right there. Packers are actually favored by 3 in this one. So I'll kick this one off. I think the Vikings get their first loss, and I think the Packers get the win. I think this is going to be a surprisingly low-scoring game. I'm seeing like a sloppy, 16-13 type win for the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. Where are you going?
Yeah, I think Green Bay. I think the injury to Sam Darnold. I mean, he didn't. Luckily, he was lucky he didn't get an extensive injury last week. I think that's going to affect his quarterback play this week. And you know, Willis has been surprising in the absence of Jordan Love. Jordan Love is probable for this game. Last I checked, so you know,
okay.
I doubt he's going to play though. They're going to play it safe. As long as they keep winning with Willis, I don't see why they would change it. But yeah, give me the Vikings in this one.
Yeah, one interesting note on that one. Aaron Jones first returned to Lambeau since leaving Green Bay after all those years. So we'll see if he scores a touchdown and tries to do his own little Lambeau leap in purple. That would not please the Green Bay crowd. How about the Pittsburgh Steelers, also undefeated, headed to Indianapolis to take on the Colts? I mean, come on. This feels like a survivor pool pick if I've ever seen one. I don't see anybody picking the Colts against the Steelers at this stage of the season. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, yeah, I gotta go with Pittsburgh. Their defense has been really just excellent, and you know, with the quarterback situation in Indianapolis, I think that, you know, because they're kind of, you know, it's a coin flip as to who they want to start. You know, it's just not going as well as they would hope in Indianapolis, but I think just Pittsburgh's defense is going to get some turnovers, and they might even get some points out of it, you know. But, yeah, give me the Steelers.
All right, Denver Broncos headed to the Meadowlands to take on the New York Jets. Heavy favorite of the Jets against the Broncos. 7.5 right now. And Broncos are coming off of a win, and Bo Nix was impressive last week. I can't even remember exactly who they beat, but it's slipping my mind here. But it doesn't matter because I'm picking the Jets.
Yeah, I'm going with the Jets too. I think their defense, again, it's another good defense. I think they're going to get some turnovers against Denver. I mean, this is really Bo Nix' first true road game where he's going to go up against a stout defense. So, you know, we'll see how he reacts to that. I just think New York's got too many weapons. Aaron Rodgers is playing pretty good right now, and you know, spreading the ball around. So I give me the Jets in this one.
There you have it. Philadelphia Eagles headed to Tampa, take on the Bucks. I guess there wasn't a whole lot of damage to Raymond James Stadium, given that hurricane that just flew by. But they're staying put in Tampa for this one, and both these teams are 2-1. Mentioned earlier the Eagles coming off of that win against the undefeated Saints at the time, and the Eagles are favored on this one by 1.5 points. I mean, this is going to be a good game. I hope they're showing this one where I live, because obviously the Redskins have the late slate, so they'll have to fill that void, and this would be the one that I would want to set eyes on if I had the option. I'm going with the home team, going with the Bucks, and I'm not just doing it because I despise Philly. I truly believe that Tampa has their number. It's going to be reminiscent of that playoff game that we saw last year. The last time these teams met, when the Bucks just manhandled them. I mean, obviously, I don't think it'll be that much of an ass whooping, but they have their number, like I said. So they'll just be able to scheme perfectly against this Eagles offense, and everybody, you know, a lot of people sleeping on the Bucks offense. I think they're a lot better than people give them credit for. So give me the Bucks getting a big win over Philly.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bucks too. I think Baker Mayfield's had an incredible turnaround in Tampa, and it's continuing. But also Philly's got some injuries to their wide receiver core, so I think that's going to be too much for them. And yeah, to be in Tampa right after a hurricane, I mean, talk about a raucous crowd that's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
So I wouldn't want to be going there, that's for sure. But yeah, give me the Bucks in that one.
All right, let's go to the battle of the bottom feeders. Cincinnati Bengals headed to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Bengals, as previously mentioned, are 0-3. Panthers, surprisingly 1-2. Andy Dalton stepped in. He got him a win last week. He threw for like over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was quite impressive. They'll be keeping him as the starter, and barring an injury, I would have to assume. And Andy Dalton did used to play for these Cincinnati Bengals that he's going up against now, so that makes things a little interesting. So, Daniel, where are you leaning on this one?
I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. I think Cincinnati is just dying for a win, though, and I think they're going to be focused going into Carolina, and I just think Carolina's got too many holes on the defensive side, so I think Cincinnati's probably going to win by 2 touchdowns in this one. It's not going to be close. But yeah, I think give me Cincinnati in that one. I think Cincinnati is just, they want that win really badly, and they're focused on it.
Cincinnati currently favored by 4.5, and I do agree with you. I do think Cincy gets the win here. I mean, they are. You thought they were aching for a win against the Commanders on Monday. Now they're just pissed off, and they're going to take out all their anger on the sorry-ass Carolina Panthers. So give me the Bengals all day in that one. Sorry, Andy Dalton. Jacksonville Jaguars 0-3 against the Houston Texans, which touched on a little bit earlier. We don't have to spend too much time on this. I think we're both going with the Texans, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see Jacksonville going into Houston and winning that one.
All right. So. Let's move to our later slate of the Sunday day games. The Washington Commanders staying on the road again, Daniel, and they're going to be taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Another high-powered offense for this lackluster Commanders defense, and it's going to be tough coming off such an emotional victory, and really just a flawless showing by the offense on Monday night for the Commanders. So I just don't see them doing that back-to-back road games. Is hard enough as it is, and I think they're brought back down to earth a little bit. Hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going with the Cardinals to get to 2-2 and put the Redskins at 2-2 as well.
I'm going with the Commanders, believe it or not.
God, I hope you're right.
I think this game is going to be a shootout, and I think that Jaden Daniels is going to show what he can do. And I think that, I mean, I would not be surprised to see this game in the 30s and 40s. You know, it's going to be one of those types of games, I think, and watch it be the complete opposite of what I'm saying. But but I feel that this is going to be a shootout type of game, and basically the last team with the ball is probably going to win the game. So give me the Commanders.
It is indoor, so that tends to lead to a lot of points, especially when you got two high-powered offenses out there.
Yeah,
so yeah, it will be exciting.
Yeah, if McLaurin and Robinson if they can do what they did against the Bengals, all bets are off. I think the Commanders have a really good offense when those two guys are gone.
Absolutely. How about the New England Patriots in San Francisco to take on the Niners? Both teams currently sitting at 1-2, and the Niners huge favorites by 10 points in this one. This is another survivor pool one. However, a lot of 90% of the country lost their survivor pools in week 1 because of the Patriots. So will they fall into that trap again? I would. I'm going with the Niners. I just can't see them losing at home to the Patriots. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think the Niners, even with the injuries they have, New England's a mess right now. And I don't think that New England folks should panic and fire their head coach. I think you need to kind of stick with him for a few seasons, see what he can establish.
They're not going to. They didn't have playoff aspirations coming in.
Well, no, this was a rebuilding year from day one. So yeah, I still don't think they have the quarterback that they want. and I think they are waiting for this upcoming year to get that quarterback. So we'll see what happens there. But the 49ers, just too many offensive weapons. I think they're gonna coast to an easy victory here.
You think they pulled the plug on Drake May experiment that early? I mean,
there's already chatter in New England fans, but these are these crazy diehards that just don't know anything.
He hasn't even started a game yet. I mean, he's played, but he was tossed in there for junk time. But
but no, I think you need to be patient in New England. I think they're going to get it right, but again, 49ers, I just think are just too powerful in that game.
I agree. Cleveland Browns, Las Vegas Raiders, America's game of the week.
America's game of the week.
I think the Browns are poo, and I think the Raiders they're not great, but I think at home they're a lot more dangerous than they are on the road.
Yeah.
And with that, and that alone, I'm going with the Vegas Raiders. Where are you at on this one?
Allegiant Stadium's a fantastic stadium. I actually got to tour it when I was in Vegas last year. But give me the Raiders. You got Brock Bowers, one of the best tight ends in the entire league. I think he's just going to ball out. I think he's going to ball out against the Browns. I think he's going to have the best game that he's had so far. Again, Cleveland, I don't know they're just kind of, treading water in place, and not trying not to sink, but trying not to rise too high, But I think the Raiders. Give me the Raiders in this one. I don't think it's going to be as close as the line says, though. I think the Raiders win this one pretty easily.
Yeah, speaking of that line, Browns surprising favorite in my opinion, 2.5 points. I don't understand it, but
I don't either.
Whatever. I'm not a bookie.
No.
All right. How about this one? This would be a good matchup if both starting quarterbacks were involved. But the Kansas City Chiefs are going up against Taylor Heineke and the LA Chargers. I think Chiefs getting to 4-0 sounds about right.
Yeah. The Mahomes. Like I said, I think Kelsey's going to have a good game against the Chargers. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have both said the focus is to get him the ball more. So, if that's the case, I don't feel good for the Chargers going into that one. So give me Kansas City.
It's going to be a rough day at the office for those Chargers and their fans, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills headed to Baltimore. This is the Sunday night matchup and truly the game of the week, in my opinion. Two solid teams. I mean, the record doesn't show it, obviously, for the Ravens because they had 2 tough losses. But the Bills, undefeated, of course, 3-0. Josh Allen playing, at just a super elite level. A lot of people surprisingly going with the Ravens here, and they're actually favored by 2.5 points. But I'm going with the Bills. I think the Bills keep it going and remain undefeated after their trip to Baltimore.
I think the Ravens.
Okay.
I think the Ravens defense is finally going to wake up in this one. But it's going to be it's probably going to be
a great game. Yeah,
it's going to be the best game of the week.
Yep.
It should have been a Monday night game, in my opinion. But this is a good Sunday night game. I think there are going to be a lot of points scored in this one. But it could be a low scoring. Historically in this series, there have been some low scoring games between these two, but they typically like to shoot it out too on occasion. So, but I just think Baltimore's defense is too talented. And they're at home. That's a tough environment at home. So give me the Ravens in that one.
I'm zigging, you're zagging.
Yeah.
But they couldn't play on Monday because they had to save a space for the Tennessee Titans and the Miami Dolphins. I mean, this one, you want to make sure you set your DVRs now. You will not want to miss a second of the 0-3 Titans and the 1-2 Dolphins. Dolphins, of course, having lost Tua. It was, unfortunately one of those things that it was bound to happen. Dolphins fans were just crossing their fingers that he wouldn't get another concussion, but he's got a long history of them, and there's talk, whispers, if you will, that he might just call it quits altogether and hang up the boots. But in the meantime, They have Skylar Thompson. Is that the backup for Miami right now?
Miami has nobody. I mean,
yeah, exactly. I mean, when
they were not
starting quarterback's named Skylar, you might as well just wave the white flag and call it a day. But that's why I surprisingly went with the 0-3 Titans to get the win here. I just think Dolphins are right for the pick, and even though they're favored by 2 points, I think that's more just a carryover from how they looked last season. Right. The Dolphins that we have seen thus far, they're actually on average the lowest scoring offense in the first 3 games of this season.
Yeah.
So I think Titans, they get them at a good time and they take full advantage and they get their first win of the season.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins are just in chaos right now and really don't have a true leader for their offense, and that's going to affect their play throughout until they can find somebody. They need to scour the free agency market and get a legit quarterback. I mean, it's these quarterbacks that they have they're not NFL level quarterbacks.
What happened to Jimmy G? Isn't Jimmy G floating around out there? I mean, he's got to be better than Skylar Thompson.
He's the backup for Matthew Stafford. But here's the thing.
Oh, okay.
Most likely, and I've said this before, Stetson Bennett is going to be on the practice squad for the Rams. And when you're on the practice squad, any NFL team can sign you to a contract. Okay. And I think that is a match made in heaven if the Dolphins want a quarterback that can at least keep them competitive. Is Stetson Bennett. I think he deserves a shot as a starter, and I think that's the perfect fit. But I haven't heard anything about that, so I don't know.
They did pick up the Tyler Huntley, who was the backup for the Ravens, and there's times when he stepped in for Baltimore and was impressive.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
At least there's more of a body of work for Tyler Huntley than there is for Skylar Thompson.
But yeah, give me the Titans in that one. I think Miami just need. I don't know if their coach knows what direction's up right now. I mean, it's really chaotic. It's a really chaotic atmosphere in Miami.
All right, remember that we picked the Titans. The Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions close out the Monday night slate. That's the must-watch Monday night game for those that are wondering. 3-0 Seattle Seahawks, 2-1 Detroit Lions. And right now, the Lions are favored by 3.5 points. That makes sense because they're at Ford Field. I don't know, man. I think the Seahawks keep it going. I think they get to 4-0, and I'm not sold on the Lions this season just yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that I'm picking the Seahawks because I did not think they were going to get to 3-0, especially 4-0. But I think they keep it going, and they make some fans in Detroit very upset on Monday. So I'm going Seahawks.
I'm going the Lions. I think Jared Goff at home is tough to beat. So I think, but it's going to be that and the Buffalo-Baltimore game. There's 2 great football games, Sunday night and Monday night.
Yep.
It's so on Monday night you got the quality game with Seattle and Detroit, and you got the crap game with Tennessee and Miami. So I choose quality over crap. So
yeah, the under/over on the Seattle Detroit game is 45.5. They have a little tiebreaker on the ESPN Pigskin Pick'em. How many total points will be scored in the game? I went with 39, Daniel. 39 is the magic number there.
Mm-hmm.
For what it's worth, for those that are placing bets based off of our bulletproof picks over here. All right. Well, there you have it. Week 4 pick'ems in the books. Lock it up. Can't back out now. Nope. Let's go to my own very personal Brash Parlay.
Say make money, money, make money, money, money. Make money, money, make money, money, money.
All right, and welcome back to the Brash Parlay. We're going to fly through this thing. Daniel's got to take off, but the Brash Parlay this week is brought to you by Rectangle Room. It's like Squarespace, but a rectangle. So the next time you need to build a new website, don't be a square, be a rectangle with Rectangle Room. All right, so I have the Brash Parlay locked up, ready to go. The Washington Commanders defense ranks 29th in yards allowed and 30th in points allowed. They're terrible against the run, even worse against the pass. The Arizona Cardinals, on the other hand, their offense currently ranks 7th in yards total and 4th in points. That said, you're going to want to listen in and place your bet for Kyler Murray anytime touchdown, Kyler Murray 150 plus passing yards, 1 plus passing touchdown for Murray. Marvin Harrison Jr. will get a touchdown. He's definitely going to score, probably the first touchdown. He'll also go over 71.5, and James Conner will rush for over 69.5. And don't forget to play that over because there will be plenty of points on the board. That brings us to a plus 2,033. A little $10 bet wins you $213.37. Lock it up. It's going to happen. It's surefire. It can't fail. So that's our Brash Parlay, and that's episode 67. Daniel, thanks so much, man, for hopping in short notice and making sure we can get this thing done.
Yeah, hope the lawyers work it out,
All right, yeah, we'll see what happens. More news to come. Stay tuned. All right, my friend. Catch you later.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
You